Hi, welcome to the GP Series podcast by Disruptive Doctors. I'm Dr. Selina, your host and co-founder of Disruptive Doctors. Now, today's episode is it's a two-part series with our visionary guest, Dato Vincent Tu from KL Wellness City. Today, we're talking about medical tourism and how KL Wellness City is playing a part in shaping the future of healthcare in the region. Hi, Dato.
Hi, Dr. Selina. Hi, everyone.
So that's three. Can you let us start with the basic? What exactly is medical tourism?
Okay, so medical tourism is not new in Malaysia. Medical tourism refers to individuals traveling abroad to seek for medical treatments, be it the conventional Western medicines, or sometimes people go overseas, travel abroad for probably even the traditional or complementary alternative medicines practices and all that. So, and the reasons of such traveling abroad or going from one place geographically to another place, probably sometimes is because of the affordability, but also because of the quality, the speed of the care, the treatment that they can receive, and privacy issues. And probably most importantly is also the integrated healing and recovery and the treatment environment itself. So this includes everything from orthopedic surgeries, cancer treatments, to even fertility services, cosmetic procedures, and of course nowadays very popularly the preventive wellness care itself.
So is this like people traveling to Thailand to get like sex change or going to Thailand for aesthetic treatments?
Yeah, this is actually still part of the medical tourism, and we sometimes call them the healthcare travelers. All right, a couple of similar kind of definitions, lah. But in broad, generally, most ministries, most healthcare authorities and bodies will call it medical tourism in that sense. It's because when you have the overall ambit of the whole tourism, people travel for various reasons, education or retirement, a change of job, and etc. But in this case, quite specifically, because in Malaysia is such a big industry, medical tourism is able to be clearly defined.
Okay, so how long have KL Wellness been in this space of medical tourism?
So KL Wellness City is actually a new township. It's actually a healthcare township that we are developing, and we will officially open and welcome the first batch of visitors, be it patients or visitors, to our hospitals, our commercial suites, our clinics, our office space, and etc. Sometime second half of year 2026. Now, in terms of medical tourism, the experience and the track record came from our shareholders, our founders, and our C-suites in our KL Wellness City, as well as our KL International Hospital team members. So together, they bring along with them combine hundreds of years of solid actual experience of attracting, addressing, bringing, influencing, drawing foreign patients and customers to Malaysia in their various outfits, in the various enterprise they were involved in, or should I call them, some of them, the medical services or the institutions. So with this, our founders, our shareholders, the C-suites of the KL Wellness City and the KL International Hospital has already been key players in this medical tourism space. Now, together, in a very careful master plan of these 26.5 acres of KL Wellness City at Bukit Jalil, we are finally putting all this experience together and gearing ourselves for the opening of the first two buildings within KL Wellness City, sometime second half of year 2026. And in terms of medical tourism, the international marketing, the international engagements has already started this second half of 2025, where we are preparing ourselves one solid year ahead of time, pre-opening of both the commercial buildings called the Nobel Healthcare Park, as well as the KL International Hospital, even 1 year before the opening or the operations of these two buildings itself. So we are excited. Medical tourism, it's like in our blood. Quoting an example, our managing director, Dr. Colin Lee, is one of the pioneer in medical tourism, and he is well known. He is well known globally, and if not from Singapore to Indonesia and other neighboring countries that are providing the women fertility services, etc. So this itself is a big medical tourism draw. And not just that, our other C-suite members, all of them have been dealing and handling the international medical services and marketing in their respective previous organizations for past decades or so. So we are very familiar with medical tourism, and it remains to be a very sexy, important, contributing sector in our overall Malaysia private medical and healthcare revenue.
How has this concept evolved over time? Because earlier you mentioned that medical tourism is not new. So sometimes they travel for cheaper surgeries abroad, but now it's a structured global industry. So how has this concept evolved over time?
Okay. Now, so the entire landscape has changed in the past 2 decades, and the change has been to the advantage of our country, Malaysia. So it's no longer about finding cheaper healthcare. It's about accessing world-class expertise in a destination that offers almost a one-stop solution, ranging from comfort, safety, recovery support. So patients and healthcare travelers nowadays and their family members, remember, when they come, it's not just patient. We also need to take note of their family members that comes along. So that is another point that Malaysia is very good and strong in. Our ecosystem is right and is good. So patients, I call them patients or healthcare travelers nowadays, look for a complete experience, as you just asked, from pre-arrival consultations to post-care rehabilitations, recovery and recoup and all that. So it's often bundled together with lifestyle as well as wellness programs. So it becomes a kind of A to Z kind of a full solutions. So let's touch on Malaysia. So Malaysia in particular has made significant strides in the past 3 years or so post-COVID. Now, as of 28th of May this year, 2025, Malaysia was officially ranked number 1 in the world for medical tourism, a recognition of our advanced infrastructure, affordability, and most importantly, patient experience. So, and to enhance and to support on that, according to Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council, MHTC, in last year itself, and the year 2024, Malaysia recorded over 1.6 million medical travelers, generating over 2.71 billion ringgit in healthcare travel revenue. So that's why, and it is correct that the government is targeting a good, attractive 12 billion ringgit of revenue by the year 2030. And that's about aiming a solid 21% year-on-year growth itself, which is highly achievable. Malaysia's medical tourism has always, in the past many years, apart from the 2-3 years of COVID pandemic, we have always been charting a double-digit growth itself. So correct, we are seeing this landscape has changed. Interestingly, like I started out by saying the landscape has changed to our advantage, for Malaysia's advantage. We have started and we've been seeing and we will continue to foresee strong, very, very strong demand of healthcare tourists coming from Indonesia, China, Bangladesh, even Australia and Singapore itself, and not forgetting Cambodia. So Middle East also will be another segment. Yes, a big numbers of them go to Thailand and the other countries, but Malaysia, we are there. We are still very much strong into the Middle Eastern with our Islamic features and certain treatments, which is a halal based kind of treatment, and it's attractive and relevant to them. So, but what attracts all this range from these neighboring countries and globally healthcare travelers coming to Malaysia, apart from the affordability? When I use the word affordability, you will realize I mention it and repeat it many, many times. It is true. We are very, very affordable, yet with world-class healthcare and shorter waiting time and very high standards of medical practitioners and top-notch hospitals in Malaysia. Right, range from our northern of Peninsula to central to all the way to Klang Valley or even to the southern of Malaysia itself. So we have very good hospitals and an extremely large pool of doctors. And that's why you also realize that in recent months, there's so many news about, for example, our neighboring country coming over to Malaysia, aggressively offering good package and salary. Last time they were openly recruiting our nurses. Now they are openly recruiting and our doctors. If my data is right, I think generally more than 30%, about 30% of the doctors in Singapore are actually Malaysians or ex-Malaysians, and in that sense. And I saw one of the so-called podcasts or a video by the Singapore's Minister of Health saying that they still need quite large numbers of specialists and doctors in a certain particular disciplines, whereas certain disciplines they have quite a very sufficient numbers. That means where are they going to get them from? They will still come to neighboring countries with good doctors. I don't see them going to Indonesia looking for doctors or employing doctors. I don't see them going to Cambodia looking for doctors. I don't see them going to Brunei looking for doctors, but they come to Malaysia. All right. So, and yes, why did the Middle East come and look for nurses? All these years, the past 30 years, the 3 decades, come and look for good nurses and big numbers of nurses from Malaysia. And they didn't go to Philippines, they didn't go to other countries because we are very good in this. And we are maintaining they're still good. Malaysia is still maintaining the global position. So that's in short. The landscape has changed, but I foresee the landscape has changed, and Malaysia was able to keep abreast with the development and the progress and the change itself to our advantage. And we still are having a strong fundamental, strong platform to continue on.
I like how there were two things that you mentioned during what you just said. One is our neighboring countries coming to Malaysia and poaching our doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of we also work with recruiters in Singapore to help doctors get jobs in Singapore. And one of the reasons and feedback I got was because Malaysian doctors, very similarly to Singapore, Malaysian doctors understand the culture. Like there's a lot more similarity in cultures. And on top of that, when they get Malaysians, is good work ethics. We speak English and multiple other languages. So we could provide a lot more than a lot of doctors from other countries, say from India or from Myanmar and the likes of those. Like comparatively, we have a slightly more advantage than the rest of them.
Totally agree. Language is one. Language, culture, and our and the great good trainings by our Malaysia's ministry in the KKM and etc. has actually groomed our doctors and medical practitioners to be very resilient and really flexible and be able to adapt in the toughest situations directly compared to the trainings of the doctors in specific country, be it Singapore or the rest. But I personally see and realize that we are in high demand. The doctors are in high demand. There will come a stage where even our doctors who are in Australia, in other countries itself, we seem to put in more longer hours and creating better results clinically and etc. And you see the kind of level of touch and care that we do. It's a little bit different. It's still a little bit of the Asian culture per se, regardless you are in a public hospital or in a private hospital itself. And so that's actually one key reason that not just in medical line, but in any other industries, we are well sought after, right from oil and gas to IT to accounting to banking and etc. So I think that we are blessed to be to raise in a country with a very good high level of standard of education, solid training, in particular on medical, and you don't get anyone having the opening a hospital as and when they like or as and when they wish. It's highly regulated. It's highly regulated, and it's tough. It's so tough that some gave up along the way, no choice or whatsoever. But that's where I call them the survivors and the warriors are created.
Oh, that's a very good way of putting it. But there's another thing that you mentioned. Now patients around the world, they're not coming for cheap procedures, cheap surgeries anymore. They're looking to access world-class treatments.
Yes.
So for our GPs, specialists, clinic owners, like why should they be paying attention to this?
Okay, so actually, because the GPs are I call them the first immediate layer to the Malaysians. But foreigners, when they come, generally, usually they don't go straight to go to the GPs. They go to directly the specialists because they have a actual need. They have already identified actual need. So now, in terms of GPs, why should they pay attention on why the GPs should pay attention to the medical tourism? I so-called rephrase a bit because it directly impacts how care is delivered and where future patients come from. Medical tourism, in my point of view, isn't limited to large hospitals only. All right, because there are foreigners, expatriates in Malaysia. There are also from neighboring countries that, for example, from Singapore, they go to Johor. Just drive over. It's just like still within Singapore. And then you go over and then they go and look for GP. They don't even go for their own clinics, for example, for convenience, for cost reasons, etc. So even Singaporeans coming to Malaysia for medical treatment, that is medical tourism. Why? Because you don't stay in this country, you didn't earn and money from this country, you are actually contributing economically the financial revenue to this country in this aspect. And from medical tourism, you will have the X2, X4, X6 multiplier effect, and etc. and all that. So medical tourism for the GPs, for them to take note is in future, as we move along, it isn't limited to large hospitals. In fact, private clinics, boutique specialists, GPs, and wellness providers all play a role. And if the GPs are not thinking internationally, you may miss some good opportunities that are already capturing and coming along. And I start seeing some groups of GPs that come along, grouping together. You have chain of GPs and all that. Some didn't start it off or may not still have the vision or the intention of setting up a chain, for purposes of medical tourism. But I bet you, as we move along, there are already GP groups that already start putting emphasis and start doing international marketing. All right. For example, I start seeing some GP groups. When I call GP groups, instead of one single clinic, GP groups in East Malaysia, be it in the Sabah or Sarawak itself, they have started to identify and do a lot of engagements in their chain to draw the people, the Indonesians of the neighboring from Kalimantan and etc. And to a certain extent, they started to be they are becoming more and more successful by drawing more and more patients and healthcare travelers to their space, be it in Kuching or Miri or Cebu, for example. So that is medical tourism. And that is important because when they go over, not just the big hospitals, from the general health screening or the normal day-to-day medical care need itself, these are all revenue and it's an additional segment of customer or patient base itself, member as well, where generally, if I just take an example, if let's say there's every 100 people doing a general health screening itself, probably could be, let's say, 10-15% of them may need to be referred and may continue on with the next stage of consultancy based on the findings of the general health screening reports and all that. So this is why when the GPs, they are aware of medical tourism, they would know that if I have a good numbers of patients that comes from, let's say it comes from Hat Yai, if their Kedah base comes from Hat Yai, all right, or their Penang comes from Medan, then they'll realize that one patient will help them to bring another 10, 15, 20, 35 patients in the next 6 months or 12 months. Without these GP clinics or this private hospital or this medical center having to do a lot of marketing. So it's that kind of pull factor. They themselves are promoting itself. So, and it's in medical line, you cannot just do an advertisement directly. So your patients, the results is your best testimonial and it's the best word of mouth. Right. So in short, GPs, why should they care? Why should they focus? Why should they pay attention on medical tourism? It's because, well, Malaysia is doing so well in foreign patients itself. In fact, certain towns, in Miri Town, etc., all that, you have a lot of foreigners going to a GP clinic and not necessarily the foreigners go to a private hospital itself. And this is true. I think the listeners, if they are from certain parts of the East Malaysia, or if there are certain parts of Oi Town or certain towns in Terengganu or in the Alostar, for example, or in Penang, then you realize the GPs or the dentists or etc. They will be telling you, hey, my patients, big large number comes from outstation or overseas patients itself. And you'll be probably interviewing, asking them, so did you do, what kind of marketing did you do? Did you do Facebook? What kind of social marketing? They say, no, I just did a bit of talks and engagement. And after the first batch of 3-5 of them came, and then along the way, as a month goes, and the referrals are getting more and more. And I guess it's because of the good level of delivery.
I like how you're putting it in perspective because the world is becoming borderless. It's no longer defined by geography anymore. You can fly anywhere, go anywhere. I like how you're saying GPs need to start thinking bigger and just beyond their locality. There's so much opportunity out there. So I like how you're putting that into perspective. So with regards to KL Wellness City, right? I know you've mentioned what you're doing and all that, but what's the grand plan here? How is KL Wellness City contributing to Malaysia's medical tourism ecosystem?
Okay, so a quick brief. So KL Wellness City is a township, a carefully master planned township at Bukit Jalil, and we are located across the road, about 300 meters opposite of Pavilion Bukit Jalil. And basically, within 2 kilometer radius, we have two golf courses, 18 holes, and we are just about 6 minutes away from the KL Sports City, meaning the Bukit Jalil stadiums. Okay, no, so Bukit, when we started off with KL Wellness City, it's a city that is built by a group of doctors because our company, a healthcare group, is actually owned by a group of medical doctors, specialist doctors. So when we started off, it was meant to be a healthcare and wellness city, and this master plan was based on a lot of experiences and the track record and the vision of creating a one-stop center, a carefully 360-degree kind of integrated, interconnected healthcare city. All right, from the medical treatment, the pre-treatment, the preventive, the post-treatment, post-surgery, the rehab, right to the living. We're talking about the retirement homes. We're talking about the senior living in this case. Plus also and they call that the assisted living, right? So eventually there'll be assisted living in the whole city. So in KL Wellness City, there will not be one single hospital. There will be a few. But interestingly, in KL Wellness City, when we design it, apart from having a few thousand units of senior living, retirement home, apart from having 2 to 3 big, large-scale hospital, and in this case, our first hospital is opening end of 2026. It's a hospital with a capacity of 1,000 bed. 1,000 bed is huge. It's a private hospital, is huge. And it's under KL International Hospital Sdn Bhd. And so it becomes a carefully master planned township, purpose built, integrated wellness and medical real estate township. So in this case, what happens is that we wanted to make sure that all services and infrastructures are integrated. So, for example, when doctors want to have their own private practice, just like in Singapore, they can own their own clinics in this city. And if there are medical groups from overseas, from abroad or Malaysia, that wants to set up their mini hospital, even like we call it ambulatory care center, ACC, we have that available. We have made it available, and when we design the medical towers, we even make sure carefully in terms of infrastructure design, all that, as best possible, fit and meet and comply with the requirements, the strict requirements of CCAPS, the KKM, so that the doctors are able to get their licensing of their clinics easily without much problem, apart from the basic regulations they must comply. It becomes a creation of an ecosystem that the doctors can prosper and they can build. When they have their own clinic, they can build legacies. Right. So first I talk about the livability. We talk about the senior living that we have. I have also highlighted there'll be assisted living. Assisted living means we need a 24-hour medical and healthcare. We have talked about the doctors. What about the doctors group? The doctors group, they can have their own clinics. For doctors that don't want to own their own clinics or not ready to own their own clinics, do join our KL International Hospital. Be part of our resident doctor, or just like in any other private hospitals. Join us, be with us, grow with us is fine. All right. And for the doctors who own their own medical suites, their clinics itself, they will, with a certain conditions that they need to comply. Basically, we offer them to also to do on call in our hospital. So that gives them another pool of more and additional source of patients. And most importantly, KL International Hospital's positioning. Then after the long-winded of explanation, this is where the medical tourism comes. With a 1,000 bedded capacity hospital, this is meant to be a hospital which is very medical tourism driven. So the international marketing plays the most important role, and the international engagement and international affiliations becomes our key priority. Our intention and target, it's more than 30% of our patients we are looking abroad. meaning we are intending with all the strategies and plans put in place step by step, year after year, to bring in and attract in the patients from Indonesia, Cambodia, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, etc. All right. So when the hospital and the township, it's planned carefully with the mindset of targeting. As I said, it's a carefully master planned township. It's and the hospital and the whole township is targeted for medical tourism. Right from the services of the bus pickup, right from the accommodation, right from the marketing and the facilities offerings itself, we have already put the foreign patients into the planning, into the drawing board, into planning. So, for example, a central kitchen of the hospital will be cooking and preparing foods for 40 to 60 nationalities easily. All right. So, when you have that capacity and you have to cook and prepare for 1,000 bed, that means that people who actually even retire in this care wellness city for short term, 3 months, 3 years, 10 years, etc. Be it they are from locals, whether they are from locals or whether they are foreigners, their needs will be taken care of right from the food, the supplement, the nutrition, their day-to-day living, and also their medical care itself. We have put all this incorporated into to make the facilities, resources, and services available. So, and the plus point is pay only if you need it. If you don't need it, it's just available and standby over there. So, for example, if someone stays and lives and retires at our care wellness cities, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom units itself, and if they need some nursing care or concierge care like medical nurses will be based, can go to their house maybe 4 hours or 6 hours a day. That's no problem. Just through the app, you order the services, the nurses will come from hospital and take care and be in the house and do all the necessary, maybe from dressings and whatsoever and things, etc. If you need the concierge to bring the resident from their house to regularly, weekly basis or so whatsoever, to the hospital for all the appointments and checkups, so that no issue. The concierge will do that as well. So this is actually to create a convenience, to create a prompt, quick, immediate, and adequate and good care right from the start, whenever possible, at every point itself. Now, we also want to share good news that being a hospital that is going to be focusing on medical tourism, doctors plays the most important role. And in preparation for that and in line with that, we have also prepared ourselves in acquiring and moving and bringing in all the latest, best possible, and that is medical equipment that is needed and aspired and that is useful and practically useful to the different various specialists itself. And how do I demonstrate or explain that? By having a 25 operating theatre, for example, 25 OTs.
That's a lot.
That's, yeah, really a lot. But the 25 OTs also means that we have capacity and capability. It's two words, capacity and capability, to adequately and fit out with the best in the country or in the region continuously in the next 10 years. So when we open up with a couple of 3 or 5 OTs, operating theatres, and then we continue to add on to each year, for example, we will definitely be bringing in the better different models of technologies, robotics, etc., into the operating theatre, etc. That is also applicable to our imaging and all the other kind of class 2, class 3 medical equipment itself. That means with this kind of sheer size of a hospital, we will be very efficient. We are aiming to be more efficient and better cost control. And we are able to, because of economies of scale, and remember, this is a hospital that's owned by a group of doctors. Basically, we don't think like a REITs or whatsoever, or the investment fund, that they say, oh, I have to get my return within 3 years, and then how much I put in, I buy over the hospital. I have to quickly extract how much of revenue, things like that. No, because it started off with a master plan. So, and we are growing progressively and gradually. So we definitely have the room to accommodate, capable, and to bring in all the relevant facilities and resources continuously, at least in the next 10 years. So even in year 20, let's say 2032, 2035, 2037, by then, say 7, 9, 11 years from today, we still have the capability to bring in the best possible, maybe MRI, the best possible, the newest different hybrid of whatsoever equipment into the hospital. Because why? Because we have designed the hospital right from the first day to have the capacity, the access, hassle-free, minimal disruptions, entire infrastructure, right from the power supply, the space, the flow, the SOPs, and the integration of the various departments to accommodate such addition progressively and gradually up to the next 10, 11 years after the hospital open. So I guess that's like planning forward. Why is this important? It's important to doctors. Remember, another 15 years from today, there'll be a new breed of doctors who are expecting different kind of technologies to be employed or deployed by the various hospitals. The existing good hospitals in Malaysia will have to think of how are they going to accommodate, for example, or to provide the necessary robotic equipment that the urologists need, for example. And then he said that, hey, it's already 15 years. You have been using this for the last 35 years. What's new that you're going to bring in? Or in fact, when they are in the medical schools or they are doing their masters and etc., and they have been doing their training and practicing in different countries, now that they're already using the better and the newer ones, be it in China or be it in Australia or be it in UK or different parts. So, but when you can't be coming back to Malaysia or moving on to a private hospital and say, hey, this is what is 20 years ago, equipment. It's not that it cannot be used, but things are moving faster. AI comes into play already. Artificial intelligence in medical technology and equipment, data and patients management becomes a top priority. How fast, how quick, how accurate, how you're going to digest the data, and to aid the doctors in providing such services.
Well,
So
it
it's a
sounds like
long answer. It's a long answer, but KL University has taught all of this. We are ready for medical tourism.
Well, I was just about to say, the whole group, you all really thought about this through end to end and how you're going to deliver it. So for those GP specialists that are listening and they want to be involved, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, okay. We will start engaging with the GPs. Definitely, they can start to be in touch with me first. I'm the first point of contact as of now. And my email is vincent@klwellnesscity.com. So I will be the bridge between the GPs, the doctors, together with our hospital marketing, international marketing team, and also our corporate affairs team. This is where we're going to link and get all the GPs together to join and grow with us. And hopefully, we would like the GPs one day to be our partners. Just by not just partners in services, but it could be partners in our hospitals administration and our hospitals equity partner as well. All right, so it's going to be something interesting. Can we imagine GPs becoming our equity partner of our hospital? Think about that.
Well,
All right, so get in touch with me. If there's something that interesting that I'm more than happy to share.
Well, that's really, really interesting. Like, there's so much possibility here. So, guys, if you guys are interested, be sure to check out Cal Wellness in the link below. And Dato Vincent will be at our Disruptive Doctors Conference and exhibition that's happening on the 20th and 21st of September in Sime Darby Convention Center. So be sure to come and you can speak to him, find out how you can be a partner, how you can be involved in this whole project. Now, in our next episode, we'll explore an emerging but often misunderstood idea, wellness real estate, and what it means for doctors and the future of healthcare. Stay tuned.
Join Disruptive Doctors. Oh, disruptive doctors. Impact